Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
All witches, all skeletons, all jack-o'-lanterns.
The third commercial, it's still on, please. Take off the third channel, it's still running. Stop it, please, for God's sake, please stop it. There's no more time. You've got to, please, stop it now, turn it off. Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are your real movie guys. It's October. You know what that means. It's Real Terror Month. Real Terror Month is a special month where we take a look at all your favorite horror movies. This month, we're taking a look at the Halloween series. More specifically, today we're taking a look at Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Kids all over America want Silver Shamrock masks for Halloween. Dr. Daniel Challis seeks to uncover a plot by Silver Shamrock owner Conal Cochran. John, I have been waiting, maybe my whole life, to talk about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
I'm glad you get this opportunity of a lifetime.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch is very important because there's no Michael Myers. Essentially, This movie has nothing to do with the Halloween franchise. The reason why was, and I think this is a good idea. Now, I want to hear what you think about this, John. The direction of the series after 2 was that they wanted to be an anthology series, kind of like The Twilight Zone, but on a much higher budget, maybe eventually leading to different films. I think we're seeing it in the Conjuring universe right now. They wanted to make a movie. If it did well, then maybe it would get like its own spin-off and then they would go on to the next one. So we'd be getting different films in and out every year. Different ideas, not just the Michael Myers premise. The problem is, people thought Michael Myers was in this movie, and I think it was sort of alluded to that this was like a continuation. That's a big problem, especially when Michael Myers blew up as such like an iconic character. Now, do I think that's a bad idea to do this? No, I think this is actually a great idea, and maybe the Halloween franchise would have been better off in some ways if they just stuck to this kind of anthology series idea.
I like that idea. I think that it could work out very well for everybody involved with it. I feel like anthology series also lend itself where you can also expand on things and go so many different ways, which helps build it more.
Yeah, you have limitless creativity. You can just keep going. If an idea doesn't work, cut it off, work on to the next one. Taking all that into consideration, we have the pleasure of knowing that this isn't a sequel to Halloween 2. What do you think of Halloween 3?
Halloween 3 was a movie you wish you didn't spend this time watching.
Really? Because
yes.
I am flip-flopped on you. I absolutely love Halloween 3. Let's say this right now. Halloween 3 is not a good movie, but I had such a fun time watching this movie. Everyone should watch Halloween 3. I think you're going to have a good time if you really just look at how zany, honestly just batshit crazy this whole premise is. It's fantastic. If you can't find some kind of enjoyment out of Halloween 3, there's something wrong with it. This classifies as one of my favorite categories of movie. It's so bad, it's good. That's what Halloween 3 is, Season of the Witch.
I feel like you have a lot of those movies too.
Let's talk about why this is so bad it's good. I don't think the premise is absolutely terrible for what they were going for. It has that Halloween feel of these masks that are made pretty much melt people's brains when they wear them on Halloween by watching a TV recording broadcast. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of suspense. I don't know if I would classify this strictly as a horror movie. I definitely got a lot of sci-fi vibes where it was kind of a good blend of the two.
Yeah, like also when you're mentioning like the Twilight Zone and everything like that, definitely had a lot of stuff Twilight Zone like, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a train wreck, this movie. You want to keep seeing where it's going. Can't turn away. At least I couldn't. I had to know what was going to happen next because they kept like amping the zaniness to where I needed to see how this was going to end. For how batshit it is, it didn't disappoint me that way. This movie just kept me going, wow, that's really happening right now.
It's one of those movies too that you definitely can't take seriously, but you also have to prepare yourself by going in not expecting anything, you know?
I think that's
like
part
you were
of the
saying,
problem.
people go into this movie expecting to see Michael Myers and are greatly disappointed. It's one of those things where you can't have expectations.
Right, and I think it's just ridiculously clever. It kind of plays on a theme which I think does work, is the danger of the over-commercialization of the holiday. It's heavy-handed, don't get me wrong. Ironically, because of the way this movie's made, it's kind of still relevant today. We do see the over-commercialization of Halloween and people being sheeple, just following in line and doing everything, regardless if it's good or bad. This movie kind of plays on that trope, but in a weird way makes this movie made in 1982 is still relevant in 2021. One thing that is actually good is the soundtrack. This is one of my favorite horror soundtracks, believe it or not. I think John Carpenter turns in another great performance. Very rarely does he not, honestly, when it comes to the scores. He has a Halloween theme in the beginning of this movie, ironically playing, even though it has nothing to do with Halloween. It's a nice, like, sci-fi-ish kind of build, and the whole score is kind of like that. A lot of nice synthesizer work. The soundtrack, again, probably the best thing that's crafted actually in this movie. There's some fun practical effects in this movie. I feel like the other Halloween movies didn't get to experiment too much with like practical killing and some zany stuff. For a movie that is going off the wall like this, I'm kind of happy to see that they did do that. A lot of the kills, which we'll talk a little bit later, had some really interesting and fun practical effects. Yeah, they look cheesy. Yeah, they look silly. But I think overall, it's more endearing to me because of how fake and stupid it looks. It actually adds to that kind of cheesy sci-fi vibe I'm getting from this movie. Now, acting in horror movies is usually terrible. And oh boy, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch takes the crown for worst acting. I couldn't stand anyone in this movie, except for one character. Daniel Challis, who plays Conal Cochran, who's the creator of the masks. He's chewing the scenery so hard. This Irish man who's trying to tell me he's going to take over the world and destroy everyone. I like him. He was great. Even when he's monologuing towards the end of the movie, that's great. That really did it for me. The rest of the actors are nothing of note. But I will say, Conal Cochran, one of the best Irish villains of all time.
That's the one thing about a lot of horror movies too. Like some of these actors and actresses take on these roles and just mail it in.
Right.
Which I don't think is good for genre either.
Yeah, maybe it's worse because we kind of accept it. As a society, we're like, that's a horror movie. They don't have to know how to act. And then when someone does act, you're like, oh wow, they're an amazing actor, even if they're not that great, just because you're not used to it. It really just blows your mind. A lot of the hate with this movie, I think, is should have never have been a Halloween movie. If the series was intentionally meant to be chronological Twilight Zone-esque series, this would have been fine. I don't think we would have batted an eye at it. It just probably would have been a movie that faded into obscurity. But the fact that it is a numbered entry in the Halloween franchise is bewildering. It's just an odd thing that exists. And you know what? I think you'll have a good time.
You may have a good time.
If you watch it with the idea that it's not a Halloween movie, quote unquote, I think you'll enjoy it. I think what your expectation is versus what it is are two very different things. And I think that does hurt this movie. In a way, I kind of wish they just changed the name of the movie and just took it out of the series. I think it would have been better off in a lot of ways for it.
But yeah, that's the thing too, though. If you take the name away from it, maybe people will give it more of like a chance. But to throw it in with the Halloween movies after the first two, almost like you're trying to get people to pay for it just by name right. And they were just using Halloween title to get people in.
Yeah, I mean, they used it as a launch pad for the series to try and do something new. But again, I don't think the anthology series was a bad idea. It's just they didn't stick with it, so it had no ground. Michael Myers was too popular, so you couldn't do it. I don't think it would have worked that way. Now, what is this movie most famous for? John, I know you know a little song, and I think everyone at home knows a little song, London Bridge is Falling Down. Do we all know that song? London Bridge is falling down, falling down. You're not going to get any more out of me. That's it. They used their own version of that song. The film creators needed a copyright-free song, so they took the tune of London Bridge is Falling Down and made the Silver Shamrock song, which by far is one of the most horrifying things in this movie. If you were to consider why this is a horror movie, it's 100% due to that song. Once you hear it, it's going to get stuck in your head. You're never going to be able to unhear this song.
And if you don't think it's a horror song, watch this movie and eventually it becomes a horror song.
It's going to get stuck in your head. It's funny that this movie's about your brain melting and exploding. The song's going to do it to you.
Just the commercial itself, too. To add on to with the music, you're getting dumber by watching it.
And I think the ending kind of best sells this movie to me. At the end of the movie, we have Daniel calls the TV stations around the world, which makes no sense. Apparently, there's only 3 channels that are playing it. So he just contacted the major thing around the world and said, hey, don't air that commercial. Like the first 2 channels, he gets it turned off, it stops. And the 3rd channel, you just hear the song. You hear him go, stop it, stop it, stop it. And he's like yelling that to the end of the movie, and the movie just cuts to black. Perfect ending. Because I don't think I would have known how to end this movie either. So I think that was the best way. Just that horrifying tune rolling around in your head, yelling, stop it, stop it. Perfect. It's the thing in this movie. Now, we could be here forever talking about negatives because there's a lot. The biggest thing for most people, it's just so much nonsense. Evil Irish toy makers, laser beams, Stonehenge pieces being stolen for sacrilegious events, androids, masks that melt faces and release snakes and insects to attack other people. What the actual hell is this movie? I'm all here for it. Most of you probably won't, and I kind of get why you wouldn't. A lot of the problem, like I said too, none of the actors are good, but that's okay. You don't have to have good acting as long as you're likable. Unfortunately, none of these characters are likable, especially Tom Atkins as Daniel Challis. His character is interesting. He's this older man probably in his like 40s. He's a doctor, and suddenly he becomes a pseudo detective trying to solve the great mystery of why these masks are so important because this one guy went missing. And he's helping his daughter, which is incredibly creepy. Creepy Dan and Ellie romance. There's a 24-year age difference between these actors. That's like her dad sleeping with her, and they have a really long sex scene. That's the one part I think that bothered me the most, just because it was so uncomfortable. People getting killed was more comforting than this awkward sex scene. Regardless of how much negativity I think is on this movie, I think the enjoyment factor of a so bad it's good movie outweighs a lot of the negativity I find when I would be watching this critically. But one of the best parts of this movie are the kills, which leads us to the Real Kill Award. The Real Kill Award is an award each of us grant a movie a special award for our favorite kill of the film. Now, John, what would you like to grant your Real Kill Award?
Mine is the guy lights himself on fire and then the car explodes.
That's insane.
After watching this movie and then seeing that, I was just like, what the hell's going on?
So essentially an assassin goes in to kill one of the actors in the movie, and he goes back to the car. He's an android, which isn't explained till the end of the movie, which that makes no sense either. He goes and he lights himself on fire and the car explodes. I will say that was kind of the fire that ignited my passion for this movie a little bit. When I saw that happen, I'm like, oh, we're in for a ride. Now for this movie, I have so many nominees for this Real Kill Award. There's so many good kills, but my favorite one, if I'm going to grant one scene with this award, I'm going to grant Marge Gutman blasted by a malfunctioning Shamrock button beam. Now, if that sentence made absolutely no sense to you, I can't say I blame you. There's a woman, Marge Gutman, who was selling masks for Silver Shamrock. She's messing with one of their little special buttons that they put on the back of the mask that activates the laser beam that blows up your brain and melts your head. She's tinkering with it, and a laser beam shoots her in the face, melts her face off. All you see is this pulled back plastic that they used on her face, which is horrifying. I think it's a really cool effect, actually. It sticks with you. I don't know what it is. It's so obnoxious and insane. I can't help but enjoy it every time I see it. And that goes for a lot of the kills in this movie. There's one where Harry Grimbridge, one of the earlier characters in the movie, the assassin pokes his fingers in his eyes and breaks his skull. These kills are absolutely violent in this movie, which is ironic because the previous kills in the past two Halloween movies, they look like little innocent kills compared to this stuff. This stuff's gory and monstrous in a lot of ways. Another favorite one was also when Little Buddy, who's the son of Big Buddy, which I think that's hilarious too. So they finally show you what the grand device does, what these masks are meant for. And the scene's kind of horrifying. You just see his face like get crushed up in the mask and melts, and suddenly like insects and snakes start rolling around and they kill his parents. Again, it's so stupid. And when you realize that this is the whole plot of the movie, it hurts a little, but at the same time you find yourself smiling, which is pretty much what I can say for this whole movie. But I think we're at that point though where we're gonna give our final scores. I'm gonna give Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, a C.
The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. I'm glad you'll be able to watch it. And happy Halloween.
Ironically, I thought this would be one of the worst movies in the franchise. You know, people always talk about how terrible it is. I don't think so. If you're comparing it to being a Halloween movie, does it deserve to be in the Halloween series of Michael Myers? No, it shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be in here. They should have changed the name, took it out, in my opinion. But for what it is, I had a great time. I think I'll revisit this more than a lot of the Halloween sequels. I could find myself every Halloween season just throwing on Season of the Witch. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. But if you just like movies that are so bad they're good, I think you're going to have a really good time with Season of the Witch. And God help you trying to get that Silver Shamrock song out of your head. John, where do you stand with this movie?
I give this movie a nice big D.
Come on. What's the matter? Don't you have any Halloween spirit? No.
I almost went F, but The kills got me. The ideas in the movie were
Yeah.
cool. They just didn't execute them the way they should have.
Not
And
so.
that song deserves a D, no matter what.
If
Terrible
we're grading
song.
the song, my friend, it's an A+. I love the Silver Shamrock song, and I think most people do too. You know, it's a shame that the way this came out, it's weird that it exists in this universe with the Halloween movies. But you know what? If it didn't, I don't think it would have as much notoriety as it does. So I'm kind of grateful for that. That's Halloween 3 for you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the review. We'll catch you next time when Real Terror Month continues.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, we should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.